I assumed that the fruit falls close to the tree. I had no idea how many individuals you had previously smacked, Victoria, because I was unaware of how many individuals you had slapped. I believe so. I have devils then. Do you not? Once praised as Hollywood's saddest beauty, Madeleine Stowe enthralled viewers with her sorrowful eyes and graceful demeanor, as well as her life's unforeseen twists. She abandoned the spotlight to become a mother and wife, disappeared from Hollywood for over 10 years, and retired from the spotlight to live a quiet life on a ranch in the American South during the height of her celebrity. Few people are aware that Madeleine dreamed of becoming a classical musician and spent her early years at the piano. The 18-year-old was forced to leave everything behind and start over after an unanticipated tragedy claimed the life of her lone teacher, who also served as her strongest emotional support system. She discreetly declined a number of popular screenplays to tend to her father's serious illness in the 1990s, when her career was at its height, only to face a horrifying home invasion in the middle of the night in her own home. Why would a star turn down fame that was there at their fingertips? Why would a woman so private come back and take the world by storm again? And what suffering is unsaid behind those sad eyes? Let's explore the intensely personal path, courageous heart, and unwavering spirit of Madeleine Stowe, a woman who dared to defy expectations. On August 18, 1958, Madeleine Marie Stowe Mora was born in Hollywood, the epicenter of the motion picture business. She was raised in Eagle Rock, a peaceful Los Angeles suburb with a rustic setting full of Southern California charm, where wooden homes were tucked away among oak trees. Robert Alfred Stowe, her father, was an English, Dutch, and German civil engineer from Oregon. He was in charge of large-scale building projects throughout California. Her great-grandfather, Bruno Carranza, was a former president of Costa Rica, and her mother, Mara Mora Steinward, hailed from a well-known political family. In addition to giving Stowe a timeless grace, her mixed American and Central American ancestry also deeply ingrained in her a sense of tradition and duty. Being the oldest of 3 sisters, Stowe showed her introverted side at a young age. She liked to be alone with her piano or lose herself in a book, while other kids played freely in the schoolyard. Her reticence was more than a protective trait. It inspired her to look for other platforms where she could communicate in a different language, using gestures, looks, and emotion to tell stories in her own quiet style. Under the guidance of Maestro Sergei Tarnowski, Madeleine Stowe began dedicating 8 to 10 hours a day on the family piano at the age of 10. In addition to teaching her discipline and skill, he was the only instructor who was able to assist her overcome her introversion. However, Tarnowski unexpectedly died in 1976 at the age of 92, just after their last lesson. Madeleine decided to end her musical career and look for a new way to communicate her feelings because she felt that every note sounded empty after the tragedy. At the age of 18, Stowe changed her focus to journalism and film at USC, the University of Southern California. She immediately became involved in the theater club there and developed a strong love for acting. An agent quickly became interested in volunteer work at the Solaris Theater in Beverly Hills. In a few months, she made her television debut in 1978, first in a cameo in Beretta, and then in Little House on the Prairie and The Amazing Spider-Man. She went from being a piano girl to becoming a promising television actor thanks to these practical experiences. From the middle of the 1880s until the beginning of the 2000s, Madeleine Stowe left a lasting impression with a string of memorable performances and noteworthy career and financial accomplishments. In addition to receiving acting training from her supporting role in Gangsta Wars 1981, her first days on site gave her the opportunity to see how seasoned crews functioned on major movies. Stowe quietly researched how to develop character psychology through lengthy discussion scenes as the company faced exhausting night shoots to simulate surroundings from the Great Depression. 3 years later, in the movie Worth Winning 1984, director Mark Rosenthal urged her to play Emily with a spectrum of emotions, from calm reflection to playful charm. And knowing that the disarming genuineness, later appreciated by critics, would be captured by these test runs, which were taped with as many takes as possible for test audiences. The breakthrough stakeout followed. Her first significant collaboration, directed by John Bam, was with Richard Dreyfuss and Alio Estevez in 1987. While Dreyfuss created fresh lines just before each action cue, Stowe had to learn how to hold her breath to keep the frame steady during a suspect break-in scene that had to be reshot 14 times in a poorly lit workplace. With each stride and every word, she had to adapt on the spot. A remarkable performance was shaped by these experiences: careful observation, daring experimentation, and on-the-spot flexibility. With a $65 million box office receipt in the US, Stakeout solidified Madeleine Stowe's position as a rising star in Hollywood. By the late 1980s, Stowe had solidified her position as Victoria Grayson in Tony Scott's Revenge 1989. Opposite Kevin Costner, she spent hours discussing Victoria's objectives with the writers before to filming. Rapid cuts and soaring music created a stifling atmosphere as her sorrowful gaze was framed against the calm tones of a Baja California sunset, highlighting everything from the heartbreak of betrayal to the cold-blooded thirst for revenge on screen. Because of Stowe and Costner's restrained chemistry, the scene where Victoria and her lover just stare across a great quiet became memorable. A critical reaction came quickly after. Her performance is the film's most engaging feature, according to the New York Times, while Variety commended her for capturing every emotional register from fragility to fierceness. Even though Revenge only made $25 million in the US, which is small by today's standards, it helped create the perception of the cunning, strong lady. So much so that Stowe was nominated for a 2012 Golden Globe for Best Actress under the name Victoria Grayson, when the television series Revenge debuted 20 years later. She frequently took a drive to the Nevada desert to decompress after long, demanding shooting days, evidence that her roles followed her into real life in addition to existing on film. After Retaliation, Stowe went to Bull Durham, 1988, hoping to play Annie Savoy with Kevin Costner. Despite Annie's strong performance, director Ron Shelton wanted to express Annie's flirting charm in a lighter, more humorous Southern tone. Susan Sarandon's ability to mix comedy and sensuality ultimately led to her casting. Nonetheless, Shelton and a number of producers, including Tony Scott, were deeply impressed by Stowe's emotional depth and acute intuition during the reading. Madeleine Stowe's status as one of Hollywood's most promising new faces in the late 1980s was formally cemented when, just months after her audition, she was given a big role in Revenge. She rapidly earned a name for herself again with a 1990 high-budget follow-up to Chinatown, The Two Jake, which was starring Jack Nicholson and directed by Nicholson. For a sophisticated neo-noir production that required careful cinematography, the movie's $30 million domestic box office receipts are noteworthy. In addition to showcasing her acting abilities, the reunion between Stowe and Nicholson also showed how much faith Hollywood giants had in her. The Two Jakes constituted a significant turning point with their emotionally charged dialogue sequences and eerie shots of Los Angeles in the 1940s, establishing Madeleine Stowe as not just a graceful presence, but also a reliable lead for projects of the highest standard. Madeleine Stowe once again pushed herself in the psychological drama genre with The Handmaid's Tale 1991, which was adapted from the same titled novel, before making her breakthrough with action blockbusters. She played Offred, a woman who was deprived of her motherhood and made into a reproductive slave by an extremist government, under the command of Volker Schlendorf. Both critics and viewers praised the film's terrifying depiction of a dystopian future. Despite its poor box office receipts, Rotten Tomatoes gave The Handmaid's Tale a 78% grade, praising Stowe's powerful performance and especially for her ability to portray crushed agony in one silent moment and defiant hope in the next. The character of Alfred established the emotional foundation for the powerful, multifaceted characters she would later play and strengthened her capacity to handle challenging, multi-layered material. Madeleine Stowe's portrayal as Cora Monroe in the epic adventure, The Last of the Mohicans, which was ablaze with sorrow and fire, brought her to the pinnacle of her stardom in 1992. Viewers were drawn into the turbulence of colonial conflict right away by her image, standing erect in the Virginia forest, her eyes full of resolve and silent fear for her family's future. Every stride Cora took felt like a daring stand against injustice and brutality because of the film's expansive shots, backlit landscapes, and blowing wind, which highlighted both her vulnerability and her inner strength. The outcome was praised by both audiences and critics, with a 94% rating on Rotten Tomatoes and a $75 million global box office receipt. The Last of the Mohicans is one of the most acclaimed historical epics ever made. In addition to giving life to a female character full of compassion and determination, Stowe's performance was recognized as iconic for fully encapsulating the agony of a woman caught in the midst of conflict and turmoil. Her performance made a lasting impression on the history of film. Madeleine Stowe was once again featured in Shortcuts, 1993, which was directed by the renowned Robert Altman and included an all-star ensemble cast that included Julianne Moore, Tim Robbins, Jack Lemmon, and Tom Waits, right after the earthquake that was the last of the Mohicans. As Louisa, a woman burdened by intense family strife, Stowe stood her stand with dignity. She even taped a lengthy internal monologue to increase the emotional impact, as Altman encouraged her to adopt a more free-form acting style. Even though the scene was only used in the director's cut, Stowe was able to discover the emotional cadence for each scene thanks to Mark Isham's gloomy jazz score, which featured whispering saxophone lines. Altman's distinctive overlapping editing, which necessitated frequent transitions between parallel narratives and linked characters, further demonstrated her versatility and capacity for emotional coherence. In addition to receiving 3 Academy Award nominations, Stowe won the National Society of Film Critics Award for Best Supporting Actress for Shortcuts, solidifying her reputation among the most discriminating critics, as well as at the box office. Madeleine Stowe sparked enthusiasm once more in 1995 with Terry Gilliam's science fiction project, 12 Monkeys. Despite having a small $29 million budget, the movie made an incredible $168 million worldwide, making it a box office success and demonstrating that people were still interested in meaningful time travel stories. As Dr. A doctor named Catherine finds herself enmeshed in a tumultuous roller coaster with Brad Pitt and Bruce Willis, Stowe captured every bit of uncertainty, optimism, and inner turmoil. She regularly worked with Gilliam on set to examine the conflict between passion and reason. And the eerie soundtrack, a blend of melancholy tunes and ticking clocks, further emphasized the psychological strain of the movie. She received a nomination for a Saturn Award for Best Actress as a consequence of her performance, which critics characterized as compelling and profound. In addition to being a landmark in science fiction film, 12 Monkeys became a definitive display of Stowe's star power because to its distinctive script, exceptional cast, and commanding presence. In a succession of powerful anti-heroine performances in the late 1990s, Madeleine Stowe truly embraced strong, edgy female parts. She acted opposite Aidan Quinn in the 1994 film Blink, where she played Emma Brody, a vision-handicapped lady who sees a murderer in a mirror. The psychological thriller made about $12 million, despite having a little budget because of its dark atmosphere and her powerful performance. In a sensual and cunning dance of passion and power, China Moon linked Stowe with Ed Harris that same year. The movie, which made $15 million, was successful in showing a crafty woman who wasn't scared to use her attractiveness as a weapon. Only a few months later, she was portrayed in the 1994 film Bad Girls as one of several female gunslingers in the Wild West, who battled both societal prejudice and robbers. It brought in about $20 million, demonstrating Stowe's willingness to take chances in a variety of genres. All 3 of these films made between $10 and $20 million, although none of them became blockbusters. Unequivocal evidence of Madeleine Stowe's continuing appeal and impact in roles that are hostile or ethically difficult. Her audacious screenplay selections and adaptable changes cemented her reputation with viewers and filmmakers, opening the door for more ambitious projects like We Were Soldiers and The General's Daughter later in the decade. With two significant studio singles by the late 1990s and early 2000s, Madeleine Stowe once again solidified her position as the leading lady. She played Captain Sarah Sunhill, a military investigator dealing with a scandal in the ranks alongside John Travolta. In the 1999 film, The General's Daughter, even though the crew eventually only shot during the day, Stowe requested to spend the night in a cold, mock military facility to get a sense of the character's loneliness and exhaustion. This commitment resulted in a taut, visceral performance that helped the movie earn over $100 million worldwide. In We Were Soldiers, 2002, she played Mary Beth Eubanks, a strong military wife who watched her husband Mel Gibson and son leave for the harsh Iran battlefield, while waiting calmly at the airstrip. In order to properly absorb the emotional weight of her role, Stowe and Gibson participated in a boot camp run by military advisors prior to filming. There, they underwent live order drills and physical training in a battle simulation. Stowe's performance was highly acclaimed for its depth and poignancy, solidifying her status as one of the few actors who could provide both intimate psychological portraiture and grand cinematic presence. The movie made $150 million worldwide. In Angel of Vengeance, a psychological action thriller released in 2003, Madeleine Stowe expanded her theatrical horizons by portraying Maya, a lady who is returning to the streets of London in pursuit of justice after experiencing the anguish of losing her child. Driven by strong action scenes and emotional suspense, the picture made $20 million worldwide despite having a small budget. In order to convey a raw authenticity to the film, Stowe insisted on practicing behind the scenes with the stunt team. She even performed many of the fight scenes and rooftop chases herself, getting a few bruises in the process. Action fans were won over by this audacious dedication, which also paved the way for ever more difficult psychological tasks in subsequent roles. Madeleine Stowe's career did not stop with this, though. She decided to put her family first and only take on small guest appearances after playing the tough and emotionally intense character of Maya. But in 2011, Stowe made a stunning return as Victoria Grayson in the four-season drama series Revenge, for which she was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress. It served as a striking reminder of her enduring artistic vigor, and evidence that a career that had appeared to pause following Angel of Vengeance had actually been waiting for its next opportunity to shine. Once, in the midst of the series' unrelenting pacing, Stowe gave her all to a long emotional moment in which Victoria Grayson almost broke down. Her eyes reined, her voice and her trembling motions revealing a sensitive core. It wasn't simply another take for Stowe. It was a unique opportunity to fully identify with her persona. However, that sequence was removed in the editing room because it was thought to be too intense and may alienate viewers. It was a huge letdown. Stowe understood that the public would never see the entire internal conflict arc she had meticulously created. It turned into one of her career's most agonizing disappointments. Nevertheless, a crucial lesson was learned from that event. That art is what stays behind the screen as well as what makes it there. Silent, truthful moments that are imprinted in memory and driven by an actor's enduring passion. Madeleine Stowe started a new chapter in her life, one that was characterized by love and family, while her film career was temporarily put on hold. She met Brian Benben, an actor with a kind grin and genuine eyes, when she joined the cast of the miniseries The Gangster Chronicles in 1981. In contrast to Hollywood's short-lived romances, their relationship developed gradually. From quiet hours over coffee, discussing character arcs, to group script readings. They married in 1982, after only a year of courtship, which is an uncommon and long-lasting relationship in the entertainment industry. Stowe felt the power of motherhood raise her above all the professional pressures when their daughter, May Theodora, was born in 1996. However, her father, Robert Stowe, an engineer, was just then told that he had progressing multiple sclerosis. She spent every free moment caring for him out of love for him. She later used this emotional experience to give Victoria Grayson in Revenge a visceral emotional depth that struck a painfully real chord. The couple moved to a ranch close to Fredericksburg, Texas, in 2003 in search of tranquility amid verdant pastures. There, Stowe juggled being a wife, mother, and a silently simmering artist. She became passionate about martial arts, practicing judo, kickboxing, taekwondo, and tai chi as part of her morning routines to keep her form and fortify her resolve. In addition, she painted ink wash landscapes as a way to decompress after long filming sessions and hand-tended her organic vegetable patch and lavender garden. Being fluent in Spanish and raised in a multicultural home, Stowe maintains a strong connection to her Costa Rican roots by using it to speak with her mother and two younger sisters. Her kindness was not limited to her home. After the devastating 2010 Haitian earthquake, Stowe crossed international borders to assist with relief efforts, providing food, consoling orphans, and demonstrating that even a Hollywood star could serve with quiet humanity. Peace, however, is not always permanent. When she woke up in the middle of the night in 2016, she discovered that a burglar had broken into her house and taken jewels valued at $75. Her strong will to protect her family and keep creating her own story was only strengthened by the experience. As she once said, family is an endless source of inspiration. Every morning I wake up, I know I'm returning to the purest kind of love. From her quiet Texas homestead and deeds of kindness to her stunning comeback on screen, Madeleine Stowe's impact on popular culture and audiences' hearts is more significant than the number of roles she played. Her classic beauty was deserved. She was listed as one of the top 5 most attractive women in the world by People magazine in 2012. And she received a 90 on Empire's list of the 100 prettiest movie stars ever. Her performance's power, however, is what really makes an impression. From the grandiose action of The Last of the Mohicans and We Were Soldiers, to the deeply emotional depths of Revenge and The Handmaid's Tale, these works span both television and cinema. More significantly, films like Revenge, The Last of the Mohicans, and 12 Monkeys were not only box office hits. They inspired a new generation of performers to take on daring, difficult roles by helping to create a new paradigm for powerful, multifaceted female characters. That is Madeleine Stowe's enduring legacy and irrevocable impact. Madeleine Stowe and her family moved from their Texas ranch and Santa Monica mansion to Memphis, Tennessee's historic Midtown Chickasaw Gardens neighborhood, in quest of a more tranquil existence in the middle of a culturally vibrant metropolis. Her husband, actor Brian Benben, who is well known for his parts in Dream On and Private Practice as Martin Tupper, is by her side, as is their grown daughter, May Theodora Benben, who is ardently pursuing a career in photography. Stowe's ongoing success is reflected in her projected net worth of $13 to $15 million, which she has accumulated over 3 decades in film and television. She reportedly made up to $75,000 every episode over the 4 seasons of Revenge, which equates to almost $1.7 million per season. This was a significant sum for a female television actor at the time. Madeleine Stowe, an involved Memphis resident, has recently made her presence known. She vehemently argued that these roadways belonged to all of Memphis when she and Brian Benben came before the Memphis City Council in February 2025 to oppose a plan to erect gates and limit traffic in the Chickasaw Gardens neighborhood. They are funded by taxpayers. She resisted attempts to make the area a private haven. Stowe maintained her attendance at citizen forums and urban development talks both before and after the hearing, reaffirming her position as an A-list actress and a responsible, outspoken community member. Apart from participating in public activities, Stowe leads a humble life. Evenings spent creating ink wash landscapes, daytime walks through her organic vegetable and lavender gardens, and morning martial arts training. The Stowe-Benben household continues to be a grounded haven where love and artistic passion coexist despite the bustle of the city. Madeleine Stowe's path, from a shy young girl hiding behind a piano, from her friends, to a multifaceted celebrity, appearing on television and in movies, is proof of the strength of drive, self-control, and never-ending creativity. In addition to being a beloved movie legend, renowned for her ageless beauty and captivating performances, she is also a contemporary role model who skillfully manages to balance a successful career with a loving family with Brian Benben and their daughter May. When did you see Madeleine Stowe in a role for the first time? Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next motivational tale, and share that memories in the comments section below.